Good morning, good evening, whatever time of day it is for you. Welcome to this thing that I do called Thor's Entertainment. I am Thor, and today I am doing another Fatal Friday video. And Fatal Friday is the series I do where I go into the Kombat League for Mortal Kombat 1 and I try to earn fatalities, brutalities, or just really any other kind of finisher that I can with various main roster characters or cameo fighters. This week I'm breaking out Omni-Man again, and I'm pairing him up with the Kung Lao cameo, and together we are trying to get the brutality titled, You Got Boned. Wait, really? That's what they named it? Okay, I guess we're just gonna run with that. Okay, yeah, so we're trying to get the You Got Boned brutality. And that is a combo-based brutality for Omni-Man. You have to land a very specific combo, and whenever you land it, you have to deplete the enemy's health while doing it, and then press down 3 times, and then you should activate the brutality. Now that sounds pretty simple. After all, there are a lot harder things that you could do for a brutality in this game, but for some reason, whenever I was going after this one specifically, I was dropping the brutality. Now it's a fairly simple combo. If I remember correctly, it is 4-1 and then grab. And for whatever reason, the grab part of it is where I was screwing up. There were times when I would land the first 2 hits, and then whether or not it was the depleting of the health and it going into that slow motion portion of the finish them screen or right before it happens, right there, that would throw off my timing on the combo, and more often than not, I would not get the grab portion of that combo. And sometimes I would get it, and I guess I just wouldn't hit the down button fast enough, and I still just wouldn't get the brutality. I'm not 100% sure how many attempts it took, but it did take me a few to get it. And for the fight itself, we are going against a Baraka user. And they were pairing up Baraka with Sareena. Now, I have not used Baraka and Sareena before. In fact, I've barely used Baraka at all outside of the story mode for Mortal Kombat 1. But I would imagine that Sareena gives him some pretty good options as far as actually giving him another projectile, and then whenever you use the 2 knife throw for Sareena, I'm pretty sure that could also lead to some pretty good damaging combos for Baraka. That's all speculation, of course, but it seems like it's highly likely. And you might notice, even though I tend to talk over the audio in the background anyway, that there is no additional audio other than me talking in this episode. And the reason for that is that my opponents had some music playing in the background, I think. Or at least it sounded like it at one point in time. But it was so loud to the point to where you really couldn't understand what was going on in the background, but of course it was loud enough to go over their microphone, and well, it did not seem like the kind of thing that'd be very enjoyable to hear in the background, so I went ahead and just removed the audio entirely. Not a huge deal, though. It was actually kind of funny because whenever I got this brutality with Omni-Man, I'm pretty sure it was about like 3:30 in the morning. Now, I have no idea what the time zone would have been for my opponent, but if they were anywhere near me, they were rocking out pretty hard, really late into the night, and having a pretty good time. Or at least, having a good time prior to me landing this brutality. But in any case, they seem to be having a pretty good time. So good for them. The fight itself went pretty smoothly for me. This Baraka person was throwing out a lot of his special attacks that were kind of unsafe, like whenever Baraka jumps in the air and does that spinning bladed attack, you can pretty easily punish that if you see it coming and you block it. So they weren't really throwing anything too complicated out at me, and it was all stuff that was usually pretty easy to punish, and it worked out pretty well for me. In fact, it worked out so well that when I finally did end up landing the brutality, I had a massive life lead on the Baraka user, so I could literally just wait the entire time for them to do something unsafe or put themselves in just a really bad situation, and then I could start up the combo stress-free and not to worry about having to drop the combo because, well, I wasn't trying to prevent them from winning the fights. I had such a life lead that I didn't have to worry about that at all. All I had to do was just focus on hitting the buttons I needed to hit. And sure enough, after a few drops in previous fights, I finally did get the brutality. And yeah, the brutality I was trying to get was the You Got Boned brutality, which, like every other brutality, I think for Omni-Man, it is a reference to Invincible, something he did in that comic series or the show. And this one specifically is him slamming his opponent into the ground so hard that their head explodes. And that is a reference to his fight with the Guardians of the Globe, a really impressive scene from the show that I recall, and one that is used as a bit of inspiration for quite a few of Omni-Man's brutalities. Now, this one specifically is how he killed the Batman-like character Darkwing in Invincible. And like I said, slammed him by his feet into the ground so hard, his head exploded. And that's what we are looking to do to Baraka. And as advertised, my health was so high in comparison to theirs, I could just go for the combo whenever I wanted, but I was waiting for the perfect opportunity, which I got in the form of his jumping, spinning blade attack, which I mentioned earlier, super unsafe, and the perfect chance for me to land the brutality.
Too slow, too weak, too easy.
Brutality! Omni-Man wins.
All right, that was the You Got Boned Brutality for Omni-Man. Overall, that was one of the easier fights that I have recorded for a Fatal Friday video, and I'm pretty happy about that, considering how many times I had dropped that brutality prior to that fight. After so many failed attempts, getting a really easy fight that ends up making things a lot simpler for, recording the actual brutality, well, I'm not going to complain about that. But yeah, I'll go ahead and show that brutality one more time at the very end of this outro. That way it can be enjoyed one final time before we part ways. But yeah, that is going to be it for me and this episode of Fatal Friday on the Thor's Entertainment channel. If you enjoyed what you saw, be sure to check out the rest of the stuff on the Thor's Entertainment channel. I have plenty of other Fatal Friday videos, and I also have playthroughs of the other Mortal Kombat games. For now, though, that is going to be it for me. Take care, and I will see you next time.
Too slow, too weak, too easy.
Brutality! Omni-Man wins.